Hey guys, what's happening? It's Steve here, and I'm just gonna get right to the chase because you guys already know what this video is about. It is a graffiti tutorial, and you know what? I don't even want to waste your time. If you guys could give this a like and a favorite and whatever, subscribe, do whatever you can to help me out, that would be much appreciated. But really, I just hope that you guys can learn something from this tutorial. For those of you who saw my old tutorial, which was for beginners, this basically takes everything that I taught in that tutorial and it kind of puts it all together in this tutorial. So basically I'm going to show you a whole piece and how I create a piece, because in all my graffiti videos I don't actually show you guys how I sketch out the piece. So I'm hoping that this video really helps you guys, and yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the support, and if you got any questions at all, just leave them in the comment section and I will definitely try my best to answer them. Alright, thanks a lot guys. Peace out. Alright, so let's get started. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is just get a nice clean sheet of paper and a pencil of your choice, and I recommend using a mechanical pencil because you never got to sharpen it. It's always ready. You just got to hit that button a couple times and you're good to go. So I'd recommend getting one of those. Now what I'm doing here in this video right now is I am basically creating simple letters, and I'm using what is known as construction lines. And what these are is basically you're just drawing all the bars of the letters out. You're letting yourself see all the lines, and it doesn't matter if you see the lines because you get rid of them later, but it's almost a way of really structuring your piece, I guess. Well, it's called letter structure, and you know, for a good reason. So once you've got all your letters drawn out just in their simplest form possible, then you're going to start to curve the bars a little bit. You're going to start to add little bits of curves, and you're still keeping the letters the exact same as they are, but you're just adding some curves and maybe some angles. You know, after you're done doing that, you might start adding some extensions, and that's basically just where you pull a piece of the letter. You know, you kind of drag it out, and what that does is it just makes your pieces look fuller. Instead of these simple lined up letters, you're really starting to pull stuff out in all different directions. So that's something you're going to want to do, and that's something you can just work with. But the whole point of this series or this video is for me to really teach you about letter structure, and because that's the most important thing, guys. Honestly, it really is. You just want to focus on starting your letters off in their simplest form possible, because that is the foundation. And once you start the letters off from that foundation, then you can start adding, you can start twisting and bending. But by starting them in their simplest form, you're keeping them the way they should be. You're not turning them into something totally abstract and different. They're supposed to be letters, so you want to start them as letters. That's the whole thing. So as you can see now, what I am doing, I am at the point where I am adding some style to the letters. I am just going crazy, but not even that crazy. Honestly, guys, I'm keeping it really simple. I've just added a bunch of extensions. That's all you're seeing here. You're seeing simple letters that are curved and they have extensions. Now, to someone who doesn't understand graffiti, you probably already think this piece looks pretty complicated, and honestly, it's not. These are just simple letters. You're kind of deciding where you want to overlap letters. Certain letters you might want to overlap other letters, and honestly, that's all up to you. The whole thing is you just want to make sure that every letter gets to be seen. You don't want to totally overlap a letter, and if you look at my style, if you look at all the pieces I do, you'll notice that I don't really overlap a lot of letters too much. I kind of just like do this kind of thing where they're just sort of overlapping. So that's something that I would really recommend to you guys. Give your letters space, give them breathing room. They don't want to be all overlapped. They just want to be doing their own thing. So basically, I'm done drawing my piece here, as you can see, and now what I'm doing is I'm adding some style. I'm adding these little kind of cuts in the letters, and then I'm adding these little bars, and then I'm adding these other little doohickeys, or whatever you want to call them. And you know why this stuff looks good? It looks good because I got my letters right. My letters are right, so now as long as everything else, like these little doohickeys and stuff, as long as I'm keeping them balanced, like if I put one there, I put one here. And if I put one up there, I put one over here. If I put one in the middle, I put one in the middle here. You know, I'm trying hard to keep everything symmetrical, and I mean, that's how I do a lot of my pieces. That's a part of my style. but it should be everyone's style, really. You want to keep everything nice and balanced, like any art. Now what you can see I'm doing, I'm adding some inlines, I'm adding some of these basically some of the areas where the lines come together. I can add some lines inside the letters, but you got to kind of flow with the letter. You got to know how to do that. Now in the video, I'm done. The piece is ready to go, and I'm basically just going over it with my black pen. But one thing I definitely want to tell you guys about this, and this is something that I learned in art school. Honestly, guys, make your outline thick. Nice and thick, nice and bold, because something that I used to do when I started graffiti is I did a really thin outline, and it made it so the letters kind of blend together, and they really just, it got really confusing. It got hard to read, and that's not necessarily what you want. A lot of people think that when it comes to graffiti, you want to make it impossible to read and all intertwined and crazy, and honestly, that's not it. That's not what graffiti artists are trying to do. They're trying to make it so that other graffiti artists will see it and understand it. So I suggest using nice thick lines, and I kind of go over my line a couple times till it's like, you know, a little bit thicker than a regular pen line, and that just helps all the letters stand out on their own. Alright, now while I'm doing this whole outline, I'm just going to talk to you guys quickly about developing your own style. And the way you're going to develop your style is you're just going to kind of try and portray yourself the way you want to. I mean, that sounds very general, but honestly, the way I see it is I kind of want my art to have this cool look, but at the same time I want it to be kind of badass. So I keep those sharp edges, and I have these cool curves, I guess. I keep everything curvy and sharp, and I mean, I don't know how that explains myself or represents me as an artist. It doesn't really. I mean, I'm a really nice person. I'm not a badass, but when it comes to my art, I want it to look badass. So that's what I did in this piece, and if you guys want, you can keep your stuff bubbly, or you can make it even more sharp, and it can look evil. I mean, do whatever you want. Just do what you want. That's all it comes down to. So back to the piece, what I'm doing here is I'm doing what I call inlines. I don't know what they're called really, but they're just lines that go inside the letters, and they flow with the letters, and they kind of just, they add more to the piece. So it's not just the outside shell, you're kind of developing some inside lines. And I mean, you don't have to add these. This is kind of a little more advanced, and you can do it, but you don't have to. But anyways, now what I am doing is I'm adding a fill to the piece. And if you guys want to see some other fill techniques, you can easily check out my graffiti series. I think in part 3 I discuss a bunch of different fills, but this is a really cool fill right here, so I'm just going to tell you guys about this one. This is basically just a two-tone fill, and what I've done here is I've picked two of the same color. So I went with green, and I picked a dark green and a light green. And you can do that with blue. You can pick a dark blue and a light blue, or with red or yellow, or etc, etc. Yeah, you just pick two colors of the same color. So right here, I'm just drawing in a bunch of letters with a dark green. And then what I'm doing is I decided to pick the two E's to be the light green. And then I'm just coloring them in that light green, and I feel like by doing that I kind of add a bit of symmetry to the piece, because you have the two outside letters dark green, the two E's the light green, and then the M in the middle, which is the dark green again. So it really creates that symmetry. Then what I'm doing here is I am just shading the edges a little bit, just making them look a little more badass. And this is just something that kind of gives it that graphical look. When you hold the piece away from you, it just has this cool look to it. And all I'm doing is drawing these lines, just these quick little strokes. But when you put it away from your face, you get this cool looking fade, I guess, whatever you want to call it. It's just cool. It's just really cool. So yeah, that's what I'm doing there. And now what I'm doing is I'm coloring in those decorations. Honestly, I wish I had a better word for it, but these are just simple decorations, simple things I've added to the piece to give it some balance, and I decided to go with a light blue just to keep that whole earth color thing going on. And then these other decorations, I found a nice beigey yellow color, and I colored those in with that. And now I'm adding the 3D, and a lot of you people, I know you have trouble with 3D, but it's not that hard. Pick a point anywhere. It can be under the piece, above the piece, right side, left side, doesn't matter. Draw a dot on the page, take your ruler out and connect all the points of your letters to that dot. And then once you're done that, you're just gonna cut around the letters and leave a little bit of a 3D. I know that sounds it's a really quick explanation, and if you want to learn more about 3D, watch my original tutorial, because it really goes into basics. But I'm just trying to run through this real quickly. As you can see now, I'm starting to color in the 3D, and you'll notice as I color it in that it all kind of goes into the middle of the piece. It all goes into the middle where I drew that original point, in the middle of the M. So I do that, and then I go over these decorations with blue, because they're blue, so I use a darker blue, but you can use any color you want, it doesn't matter. And this is the cool part, you guys got to pay attention to this. Now what I'm doing is I'm going over the 3D with a lighter color, and it's just giving it this nice shine, this nice graphical shine. And it's not hard, guys, it's so friggin' easy. People think graffiti is hard. It's not. It's so easy. You just gotta learn these little techniques and you will blow people's brains up. And that's what I'm doing right now. So what I'm doing with this technique is I'm using a paint marker. It's just a Sharpie paint marker. You can find it at any art store pretty much. But the thing that's hard about using these markers is a lot of times you have to go over the line a couple times till it has that opacity. In other words, till it shows up. Because when you just draw it once, it's kind of transparent. So you're gonna wanna go over it, and the way you decide where to put that is if the light's hitting the words from one side, that everywhere where the light hits the letters, that's where you're gonna wanna do the highlight, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much a quick, simple explanation of that. I hope you guys can kind of understand that. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just coming back over the piece with basically a force field, and other people call this, some people call them universals, people have all sorts of different names, but I used a nice bright orange color so that it would add some contrast to the dark green piece. Now if I went with a light piece, I might have used a dark color as the force field. So you get what I'm saying, I'm just trying to add that contrast to the piece. And now what I'm doing, because I want the orange to stand out from the paper, which is also a light color, is I'm basically doing a dark background. Now, I went with a real simple background. I just went with a plain black. I mean, if I wanted to make it look cool, I could have made maybe a space background, or, you know, it doesn't matter what I did. All that matters is that it was darker than the piece, because, you know, I just want to have that contrast. I want to really make the piece stand out. The piece wants to be bright and vibrant. So that's what I did there. And honestly, guys, that's pretty much it. I can't believe how fast I had to talk. I'm sorry. This was just like a whole big tutorial series jammed into one video, so I had to ramble my face off. And if you guys didn't understand any of those points, just ask me questions in the comment section, because you guys know how I am. I respond to everything. I'm here to help you guys. And yeah, I just want to thank you guys all for all the support. I mean, you know, it means a lot to me. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys check out my videos and you guys appreciate the knowledge that I'm sharing with you guys. Because honestly, when I was growing up as a young graffiti artist, man, like, I had to learn all this stuff by myself. I had to be called a toy. I had to deal with everything. So you know what? I don't want you guys to go through that. I want you guys to learn this from me. I want you guys to have like a good attitude. I don't want you guys to turn into like these asshole graffiti artists. I want you guys to just like, I just want you guys to be good artists. That's all I care about. I'm an artist and I want to help out other artists. So I hope you guys like this video. Thanks a lot for all the support, and that's pretty much it.
Peace out.